Hey everybody, it's Dick here. Today I am riding the Royal Enfield Continental GT 650 Twin. It is a 648cc air and oil-cooled engine. It's 47 horsepower at 7,250 RPM with maximum torque at 38 foot-pounds of torque at 5,250 RPM, which is interesting as I feel it kicking in a bit earlier at 3,500 RPM. It is fuel-injected, electric start, 6-speed transmission with a assisted slipper clutch, chain drive. What else can you say about it? ABS, disc brakes, shocks, wheels, handlebars, seat, everything you'd expect on a motorcycle. This is the fraternal twin to the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 Twin. Comparisons are unavoidable, but the comparison I want to point out are the foot pegs. Notice on the Interceptor how there is a linkage system, putting the foot pegs further forward so as not to have a more sporty feel. I'm hoping the GT is a more comfortable position for the rider. Let's find out. Hey everybody, it's Dick here. Today I'm on the Royal Enfield Continental GT 650 Twin, or 650 GT Twin. I don't know how they classify it. I'm not going to read the tank while I'm riding. Glorious day to be out on a bike ride. Now, I've been on the Interceptor, and I got a comment that my Interceptor review was a bit stunted. It was as if I was... There's an Interceptor up there on a test ride. The comment was that my Interceptor video was a bit stunted because I had been on a demo version of the bike before, and it wasn't as comprehensive as my other first ride videos. And I think that's fair, so I'm going to try and be a bit more detailed about my ride on the GT today. I'm hoping that since I'm leaned forward, sometimes when I lean forward, the video just shows the tank and doesn't show the landscape or the road as much, but I'm hoping my video is adjusted for you guys well. I have to say, I kind of like the GT better. I don't mind being leaned forward. These handlebars, I was shown that these little clip-ons don't come off the stalks or the fork stanchions as low as other clip-ons do. Oops. I hit the horn. You are a bit upright, and I was told that we could even mount these higher up to get it more upright if you like this style of bike. The rear sets are a bit further back. I am leaning forward more than on the Interceptor, but I don't feel like I'm on a sport bike, though I am really liking this position. Right there at 3,500 RPMs, that's where I noticed the power band being the best. It's really tame low down in the low RPM, but at 3,500, 4,000 RPM, it really does start to cook. This is my second ride on this engine, so I kind of know where the power is now, but this GT is fun as hell. There were some comments about being leaned forward gives you a bit more weight on that front wheel and you're a bit more confidence around the turns. I don't know if I noticed that. I feel actually a bit uncomfortable in this riding position just because it's unfamiliar to me. I feel more comfortable in the upright seating position that the Interceptor offers. But I am starting to see where this engine lives, and it's really, really nice. Yeah, I don't know if what they were saying about that, the weight on the front wheel actually gives me more confidence in the turns. It doesn't really. I think I was more confident on the Interceptor. I do like the fact that I'm not hitting my calves. I'm going to kind of point down there. I'm not hitting my calves because the rear set's a bit further back there, so I'm not hitting my calves the way I was on the Interceptor on those foot pegs. That seems to be a big gripe. I was warned too that the width of the engine and the crank splays your knees, and so that when you're trying to hug the tank with your knees, you're actually hugging those brackets there with your knees. Maybe that's an issue for a taller rider, because I haven't noticed that as much yet. Yeah, that's more like it. It's a 650 twin, 270-degree crank, slipper assisted clutch. It's only like 47 or 48 brake horsepower, but really, look at this on this road. That's nice. Oh, shit. ABS works. It's got really nice power delivery. A sportier stance is meant to give you a bit more control and confidence, especially in the more technical style riding. I don't know if I get that on this GT. It's definitely sportier than the Interceptor, but I think I felt more confident riding the Interceptor, especially around the turns. The suspension seems really stiff. I'm being bumped around a bit, especially at the back. I wonder if it's because I'm leaning forward that I'm unweighting the rear wheel the way I was saying I'm weighting the front wheel, and that lack of weight on the rear wheel is making it a bit sloppy. It's interesting though, a lot more vibrations on the GT than on the Interceptor. My palms are feeling a bit vibey and they're getting a bit numb. It's definitely not a sport bike. It's not handling like a sport bike. It's got a sporty... Yeah, wow, that's really rough. It's got a sportier stance, but it's not handling like a sports bike. And I think that might be, at least for me, that might be a little dangerous because I'm getting the sense that I want to push it like a sports bike because I'm in this stance, and it's not as tight in terms of suspension and handling. But I'd say this is a good first impression on this GT. I'd actually say, I mean, I'm going to reserve it till my second ride on the Interceptor, but the GT is probably the better configuration for how this bike, or it accentuates the character that was missing in the Interceptor. I mean, it accentuates, maybe it's just psychological. You know, being in a sportier position, you kind of run the engine out a bit more. You're not as tame on it. I'm liking this engine. I mean, this doesn't have very many more miles. This has about 60 miles on it, 55 miles on it. It's really performing kind of the way I expected it the first time I ran. Kind of the way I was expecting it the first time I rode it and was a bit let down by it. I'm not let down by it now. Get in gear. That's odd. Had some trouble getting into gear. The engine's loosened up a bit. It is a bit louder though. It's a bit more rattly than I had noticed before as well. So it's I guess it's a trade-off when the engine loosens up a bit. But the mid-range on this is unbelievably great. I mean, unbelievably smooth. I think the thing about this bike is that it's intuitive, it's predictable. You get on a motorcycle and you have an expectation of how it's going to work. And it's when the bike lets you down that you realize that it's not performing. This bike hasn't let me down. It really does move. I mean, the pickup is so good, and the acceleration right up to about 6,000, 7,000 RPM is great. There's a very bouncy suspension on that rear suspension. Wind isn't bad at speed. I mean, it goes. I wish this was the first time I rode a twin. I wish this is my first ride because I really feel like that Interceptor didn't impress. This GT is impressing. Like that horn, nice and loud. If you like that video and you want to see more like them, hit like, share, and subscribe.